switched positions, and I have been using it for most of my illustrations I was doing for them. But I'm not gonna show you them because I don't think I'm allowed. But I will show you some of my illustrations actually. I did since I bought it just to improve my art and as experiments, etc. So let's begin. The ones, okay, so this is just, it isn't a close-up picture, but I had commissions in the past. I did a few commissions, which I'm not sure I can show you. I have 20 here, but I think I only did 10. The 20 was, I always did a sketch, and then I did the colored painting. So this is the colored painting, and behind this one, it's a sketch of the butterfly. And this little stack with 3 artworks. I don't know if you can see. Yep. Now you can. With 3 artworks, we have the little space doodles we did together with inaudible whispering. You just heard the writing sounds. So we have another layer. Let's trace it a bit. So we did an illustration of the earth. Then we showed its magnetic field and the moon rotating around the earth. But the magnetic field is a lot more complicated. Oh no. That we made it look like, okay. So when I ended it last time, we accidentally removed the layer. Okay. Then this is the sun, which I did not really like, to be honest. It looks like a sunflower. But I did like Saturn a lot. Saturn was my favorite of this illustration. And if I remember correctly, I struggled a bit with the rings. So let's remove it and take a look at the second space doodle. This one I like the most out of all of them. I'm going to continue doing space doodles and just doodles in general because I always do them in my free time. I have a lot in Photoshop and Illustrator that I did in the past. This is my favorite space doodle. I have some ideas of other doodles I can make. There's just, all of them are so relaxing, just to sit there and paint things that come to mind, and they're very simple and not formal. And honestly, there's just not a wrong way to do them, you know. You can just paint and then let your mind wander, which is what I love about art in general. But sometimes it's not. When you aren't in a good mood, you can't stop thinking about stuff when you're painting. So when I'm not in a very good mood, I usually avoid painting unless it's for work. And the last one we did together was this one with the planets inside a bottle and the sand. I wish I worked on it a little bit more, but I was running out of battery and it was done in a rush. And okay, so here I have some of the book illustrations, and this is work I did for the company, but I can't really show any close-ups of them. So let's start with the apple. This was actually the first practice painting I did in Procreate. I looked for an apple on Google. I searched for an image, I cropped it, added it there, and I tried painting it. Because all these paintings are done as a practice, I've always avoided tracing. I don't think I've traced a painting on my tablet or for work at any point, because when you trace a painting, you're essentially taking away your ability to understand proportions and perspective. So it might take a while, but if you want to improve your art, avoid tracing. If it doesn't bother you, do tracing. I prefer not to, just to keep my mind sharp and understand both dimensions and proportions accurately. As you can see, this one is not really accurate. I didn't mind. I was trying to focus mainly on the apple and on the shading. I've also tried to avoid copying it, because this, as I saw down the line, was a painting and I did not like the green color here and there, so I replaced it. I also added those little yellow spots, brighter and more bold, and I added more highlights to make it resemble a bit of a glass, if that makes sense. So let's take a look at the next one. Oh, I actually wanted to show you the layers. Okay, so this originally, okay, merged the layers here. I wish I had more, but as it turns out, I merged them. Okay, now let's take a look at the next one, which was a pair of cherries. I think I did this one within an hour or so. I was a bit in a rush. I don't know why, it was the weekend. I wanted to paint some fruits. Now that I look at it, I am not a huge fan of the little sparkles I added here and here. They just seem too rushed and not very carefully placed. I like the stems, but not the cherries themselves. And again, here I merged everything. Okay, and then we have this one. I'm not sure if this is a peach or a nectarine. I think it's a nectarine. Okay. This one, I knew this one took me ages to make. I was trying to do those little lines here that, you know, when a fruit matures a lot and you start seeing little vessels in it, that's what I was trying to do. For this one, I used a stock isolated reference image, but after the first painting, I used to add the pictures on my TV, so I would sit on the couch and transfer the picture on the TV and just look at it from a distance and paint it, and that actually helped me a lot more. And I added the sparkles of the shadows, and then here, and the seed, it's not realistic at all. I couldn't get it right. I just couldn't, so I left it. Where is it? Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which is an orange. Okay, of course. I started out with a lot of roots, but oranges, lemons, mandarins, all the citrus fruits, I struggle, and to this day I honestly can't paint them, and that's how it started. as a guide when I'm looking at reference, and then I lowered its opacity and I used that one just to get the proportions on shading right. Then we've got a banana. This one, I have to admit, I love this one. The only part I don't like about this painting is this part right here. It's just, I couldn't make it look very realistic. I was able to do the fruit, I was able to do the skin. I love the skin, to be honest, because you can see it coming apart right here. And you can also see that it's mature because you see those little, when a banana ripens, it changes color and it goes darker. I like what I did here with the little brown patches, but the fruit here, I don't really like it. Now let's move on. Okay, this one I did in I think 20 minutes. I was in a rush, and the reason why I couldn't finish it was because I lost the reference image. I started painting it on the couch and then I disconnected my phone from the TV. I left home and then I couldn't find the image I used, and I was trying to do whatever I could through my memory, but it wasn't helpful, so I ended up giving it up. I know we could do slideshows. I think when you tap, I don't know, you can do slideshows, but I don't want to do a slideshow, just to show you the layers as well. This was my second attempt to paint in orange. It doesn't look any more realistic than the other one, but it looks more three-dimensional, I think, because the sparkles are more vivid. So the shining I added here looks more realistic, and I also like the texture all around here. Now let's move on to the bell pepper. I was trying to be a bit more experimental over here with my art, and I added different stars. I don't really like them now. I think it looks better without the little shining stars. It looks too cartoonish, like something you'd see in a kid's movie or a kid's cartoon. But I don't mind it. I actually like the shading. I like how I added all sorts of reds and pinks in here. But other than that, it's just okay. Now I've got this one. It's one of my favorite ones. Because I started in reverse. I started with a gray background, and first I did this sketch, which is like the bucket with tin bucket with little cookies, and then I moved them, and then we did the little paper, and then all the cookies inside, and then to make it look better, I created another layer to do the white sketch on top. And yep, I really like this one. It's more cartoonish than it is realistic, because if it were realistic, the little Smarties would, half of them would be inside the cookie like this. They wouldn't be all visible, but I wanted them to be visible because I wanted to get the cartoon-like feel. That's why they're so sparkly. Yes, I was going through a phase, I think. Oh, is why I personally don't like it. It looks too. It looks like one of those pictures you'd see on MySpace so many years ago. You know, all those filled with little stars and sparkles, and it's not working for me. But at the time that I painted it, I loved it. Now, looking back at it, not so much. Okay, here I was trying to paint pancakes. I don't mind them that much. I like the pancakes themselves. I like the plates. Okay. I like the plates. But what I don't like is the syrup. It just doesn't look realistic. In here it looks like it's not in the plate. It looks like it's floating. Which is something I've worked on a lot, because after this one I was doing an illustration for a recipe book, and I wanted to make the honey as realistic as possible. So I think I did a lot of practice runs for the official illustration, and it worked out. But this was one of the first illustrations I did that had honey or any type of syrup here. Then we're moving on to the Rubik's Cube. I love the Rubik's Cube. I have 4 of them. I have the windmill cube, the regular cube, which is the 3 by 3 by 3. I also have the disconnected. Yeah, I disconnected my pencil. I have the 3 by 3 by 3. I have the 4 by 4 by 4. And is it the 6 by 6? I don't know. Or the 8, 7 by 7. Either of them I had. Those two. I think it's the 6 by 6 by 6. I was never. No, sorry. It's the 5 by 5 by 5. I never got the chance to solve that one. All the other ones I solved them. So I painted the Rubik's Cube here. I was trying to make it look as realistic as possible. And you can see here in all the layers, the background of this one's actually purple. And then this group, oh look, yeah. And in this group we've got all the colors together. And here is the sketch, which is visible in the first sketch I did that I traced. And then we've got this lips. I started seeing on Pinterest a lot of makeup artists doing beautiful lip art, and I actually liked the way the lips shined and the art they used, and I started using some of their lip art as references to my paintings, which is why I created this one. I actually really loved creating it, and it turned out better than I thought. I like the way it did the skin, the texture of the skin. I like the way it did the tongue. I liked this one here. I like the sparkles that I added, and the little, I think the lipstick was shimmery, so the way I added the little glitter all around. So that was fun. Yeah, that's what it looks like. I used it clip mask, but if I turn it off, yeah, it just looks red. Okay. A lot of layers. Every time I do something new, I create a new layer. this one I loved. It's a cheesecake. I like the way it turned out. I struggled a bit, I have to be honest. I struggled a bit with the layers and the syrup. I had to make it look realistic, and the cherry. And in the reference image, there weren't as many, obviously, reflections on the cherries. And I said, okay, to make it look very real, I'm gonna add a window. You know how you see in most glasses or in most reflections, there's always a window. I added those window reflections here, one here, and then one here. And I like the way it turned out. And one of my favorite parts of this one, oh, and here, the window is here as well, is this part where the little syrup starts going onto the plate, and we can see the separation line here. So here I duplicated it. I changed the saturation to make it look more red, and I added shadows because I couldn't add shadows and give it some dimension in the previous painting that I did. And this is one of my favorites actually. It's my profile picture on my YouTube channel. I saw this another makeup artist showed how they added glitter on someone's eye, and I used the reference for the glitter. I think the model had blue eyes, but I wanted to make them brown and add some purple all around it, and I added those little vessels that we see in the eyes. I made them more dramatic, and I did the eyebrows, and I added a lot of freckles to the model. I added a lot of freckles to her, and I actually liked the texture of the skin, the freckles, the way it did the eyes. It's one of my artworks that I feel really proud of. This is another lip art painting. Nothing new here. I was experimenting again with liquids, and this time it was called pigment. I don't know what kind of pigment it is. If you know what it is, let me know. But it had a lot of layers to it as well. I like the way the teeth look. The teeth are my favorite thing because for the first time I added those white lines that we see in some people's teeth. And I added more colors to them, more colors to the teeth to make them look more realistic. I did not work as much on the lips as I did on the pigment that's dripping down, going on the teeth. And like those little, lines going downwards. And I added a lot of texture to the skin to the point that it doesn't look as realistic, but I love it. Here I was trying to paint ice cubes. I have found this picture of ice cubes. I put it in front of me and I was trying to figure out how to do the outlines and then paint them. I again lost the picture. I have this tendency never to save pictures, and I ended up losing it. I did the sketch, but I ended up not starting the painting because I have no idea how to shade it because I lost the picture. So I might start a new one. Then we've got another little makeup painting. I love this one. I did the outlines again. Oh, okay. Yes, I don't know if you can see, but I did little flames, the outlines of your teeth. They're all reflective because you know the saliva. And I actually like the texture of the lips. Let me turn off this layer so you can see clearly. I like the texture of the lips. Okay. Next, we've got a raspberry. Nothing special to it. I just took a picture of a raspberry and I started painting it. Real raspberries don't have these little lines as visible on them as I did them, but I wanted to make it look too realistic, to the point that it's not realistic. I don't know how to explain it, but in illustration, you learn how sometimes you have to give that little extra to make it more realistic and less not. I forgot the word. So if you got it, you got it. We've got little stuff here, the leaves, and this one took me, I think, 8 to 9 hours, around this long. And then we did this little illustration together in my previous video. I think that one took a very short amount of time. And then we did the cactus that we see over here, which I'm gonna do another part 2 and part 3, because I want to make it, turn it into a room filled with plants, but you'll see it in another video. And lastly, we've got this one. I started painting a sandwich, which I'm not sure how it's gonna turn out. But yeah, and after this one, I took some pictures of the bread I'm making, and I will use those. Little fun fact, ever since 27, how long it's been? It's been a few years now that I make my own bread, and every Sunday I make 3 breads, not too big, like this big. And the only time I had to buy bread was when the pandemic started and everyone was buying all the flour from the shelves because they had nothing to do and all of us got into baking. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed